Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of RipNRiff here on the RipNRiff YouTube channel. Also, we see out there on X/Twitter and Facebook at the same handle, RipNRiff. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard, the man that I'm doing this with each and every week here for coming up on the end of season 2 here at Mr. Jared Moore. We were talking off air before we started here today. I can't believe we're a week away from kickoff pretty much of the NFL season.
Yeah, it's funny how it sneaks up on you like that, which means next thing you know, it's going to be the middle of November. It'd be like, I can't believe it's week 10 already. It feels like just like a month ago where we're like, I can't believe that the NFL season is about to kick off. And I mean, enjoy it because just it flies by that quickly, especially with, how prevalent the games are now. You have the Thursday night games and Monday nights. And now the NFL is just, in its ever expanding greed, whatever you want to call it, like they're going to keep trying to push the boundaries and expand more into Fridays and Saturdays whenever they can. So
you got the Friday game with the Packers and the Eagles down in Brazil to open up this day after.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So and
Christmas and going after the NBA.
Exactly. So it is what it is. So we may as well just kind of enjoy it. I mean, we like watching football, so we're not going to complain about that. I mean, we'll complain about the 18-week season until like it actually happens and be like, wait, why didn't we do this sooner?
I'll say this, the fact that they shortened the preseason, I know that's happened in the last few years. There is a noticeable difference. Like it feels like it went by like that. You know what I mean? Like that, getting rid of that fourth week does matter.
Yeah, because that fourth week of the preseason would probably be like this upcoming weekend during Labor Day weekend. And nobody's paying attention during Labor Day weekend anyways, because it's the last like weekend of the summer. People are going away. I mean, you do have like the bulk of college football is starting this weekend, and we'll obviously get into that during the show today. But in terms of the pros, like nobody's paying attention.
No, for sure. So it actually works out better. We can't wait for kickoff, just a week away. So we're going to be doing a lot of football today. We'll get to that in a second. But before that, just wanted to remind everybody, if you're in the San Francisco Bay area this weekend, I'm going to be heading out to the San Francisco Bay Card and Collectible Convention on Sunday, September 1st. So, I'll be handing out some RipNRiff memorabilia. If you want to see that on the screen, I'll bring that up for you right now. You can see there, we got a little Charles Smith with a QR code on the back there on the card. So look out for that under your windshield wiper in the parking lot on the way out if I don't get to shake your hand and say hi. I'll also be doing a card show each month. I'll be trying to get out to and spread the RipNRiff word here. On Saturday, October 5th, I'll be at the East Bay Sports Card and Collector Show in Concord. I know I'm saying that wrong. It's Concord. Sorry. Then we have on Saturday, November 16th at the SFO Hyatt, and then at the Silicon Valley Trade Card Show on Saturday, December 14th down in San Jose. And I'm going to go to Sharks Utah hockey that night. Why not? I'm already down there. So that'll be nice. But maybe get yourself a Carmelo Martinez card here.
Sounds like a fun, full day full of activities.
Yes.
For all to enjoy.
Yes, we'll go down. We'll maybe get a couple of packs of cards to rip here. We'll, go maybe talk to some people, shake some hands, and hand out some stuff. Now, these are all cards that are ripped on the show. So speaking of what's ripped on the show, let's get to our pack ripping lineup. For me today, I'm going with a pack of 2007 Upper Deck. Rookies in there. You got some Calvin Johnson, Marshawn Lynch, Darrelle Revis, Adrian Peterson. And you see the Incredibles NFL Inc. game jerseys, Rookie Inc. and jerseys, and Football Hero subsets. And then you see that little Pearl Jam pack in the corner. We enjoyed doing those last time. I'm on the hunt for an Eddie Vedder card, so we'll do that quickly right before we get to the figure 5. Jared, what are you ripping today?
All right. Well, in honor of college football season actually starting over the weekend with Florida State crapping the bed over in Ireland, I do some Bowman Chrome 2023 cards, a couple packs of those. It's only 4 cards per pack, so I figured I'll breeze through that so quickly. I still have a whole bunch of old school baseball packs, and this is one we've done on the show before, but it's the last one of these Leaf set packs that I have. 15 baseball cards and 3 puzzle pieces for the Leaf set featuring Harmon Killebrew Hall of Fame puzzle. And look for randomly packed gold leaf rookie cards. Collect all 24. So, and you saw some of the rookies that were on the screen there. So if we get that Mike Timlin rookie, we'll be all set. We could plan the retirement fund.
And maybe we send that Harmon Killebrew puzzle piece to Mad Dog and see if he's like trying to maybe complete the puzzle. Who knows? You never know. And then so we don't neither one of us really have a rip and rant today, and that's a segment where you don't want to force it. It's not there, and then we're just going to skip it. Plus, we've been looking at divisional odds and win totals here from around the NFL leading into this season. We've already done the both Easts. We've already done both Souths. Today, we're going to take a look at the Norths. Let's start in the NFC. Let's bring that up on the screen. And then, this is one of the more intriguing divisions here in the NFL in terms of like who could win the division, because the Lions are the defending champs. The Packers took a big step forward last year, got to the playoffs. The Bears, on the other hand, Caleb Williams, obviously a big story there, top overall pick. People are putting them in the Super Bowl with the additions they've made along with Caleb. And then you have the Vikings, who nothing can go right for them. So they are pretty much out of the division or playoff hunt, unless Justin Jefferson has a 3,000-yard season.
All right, so I'm looking at this screen right now. You can kind of look this up while I'm talking, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Can you give me the odds for the Bears to just make the playoffs and not to win the division? Because I look at all these totals right now. I mean, I don't want to lay that much juice with the Bears over 8.5 wins, minus 160. That's just a little too much for my taste. The other one that would jump out to me, same respect, would be the Vikings under 7.5 wins with Sam Darnold at quarterback. So I don't really want to touch either one of those. I mean, the Lions are going to win the division, but plus 130, you're not really getting, a whole lot of value there. So, but I do like the Bears this upcoming season. I do think the NFC in general is not very good, and I think there's an opportunity there for a team like the Chicago Bears to get one of those playoff spots. And like when we had Bill Zimmerman on the show a few months ago, right around the NFL draft, this is a talented Bears roster. They have 3 pretty good receivers. They got the franchise quarterback now. I need to see a lot more than just like 1 or 2 passes in a preseason game to annoy them, but I think Caleb Williams will be very good. I like what they've been building in Chicago. So,
minus 110 to make the playoffs, by the way.
Minus 110, yeah. So you're not really getting a whole lot. I mean, it's probably like between them and probably, maybe Dallas, maybe some of the teams out west like Seattle to get that last playoff spot in the NFC. So if I were going to play any of these, I guess I would play the Lions to win the division. But I mean, I don't really feel like I'm getting a whole lot of value with anything here in the NFC North.
No, and again, looking at them again on the screen, I agree. I mean, either one of those, I'm staying away from the Bears. I don't think they finish under 8. I don't think they finish 8 wins or less. Vikings, it's not. I would love to see the Vikings down at like 4.5 wins, maybe like that would be a number I would consider going under on, depending upon what it's like. You look at the Lions there, the defending division champs. I think they get over 10.5 wins to win the division. I think that plus 130. I know it's not a ton of a ton of return there, but I would look at that one. I know that's just going chalk, but I'm not ready to anoint Green Bay the division champs yet. Although, and the over at 9.5 wins is too juiced for me, and I don't think they're going to finish below 9. So it's not a great division in terms of betting. If I had to pick any of these, it would be Detroit to win the division at plus 130.
This would be one of those divisions I'd probably be looking for like the alternate lines and seeing if I could find a little bit of value like that. Because you mentioned the Vikings at like 4.5. I have no interest in touching them at 7.5 with that much juice, but at 6.5, if 6.5 is minus 130, that's something I guess I would consider. Even 5.5, perhaps, just because I don't really love that roster. I know they made the big signing at running back, but I think the quarterback's a pretty significant loss there, and I don't love that defense. So, and I think they're clearly probably the number 4 team in that division.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can make an argument for, listen, I know Detroit's the defending champs, but there's a scenario where Green Bay wins a division. We've talked about people, getting ready to put the Bears in the Super Bowl and, maybe even win the division too. The Vikings are out of the mix there. So not a ton of love there in the NFC North. Like Jared said, an alternate lines world is where you probably want to look there. But looking at the AFC North now, taking a look at their odds there. So the favorites are, and that's the slide is not updated. I need to fix that. So hold on 1 second there. Let's get that off the screen. There's a glitch sometimes that does. I'm going to put the odds up on the bottom while I fix that here for the AFC North.
I was going to say, I'm going to jump all over the Ravens at plus 2,400, but
I
have a feeling that was an error.
So, yeah, let's start with the division odds first there, and they're scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Baltimore plus 145, Cincinnati plus 165, and Cleveland plus 450, Pittsburgh plus 750. Any of those division odds looking juicy to you?
I'm out on Cleveland in general. Deshaun Watson has not been very good since the trade, and like I know he's still dealing with stuff now, so like I'm just not interested in placing any of my money there. So all right, so let's take a look at this. Steelers plus 750. No, I'm not taking the Steelers. Plus 165 for the Bengals. If I were going to lean towards any of these, I'd probably lean towards hammering the Bengals overs.
Okay, I could see that.
Just because they got the franchise quarterback. The one thing obviously that concerns me is the whole Jamar Chase situation, and like, how much you're going to get from him when he's making this much of a stink about his contract. But so that would be the one caveat that would have me sort of shy away from this. Let's see what else we got here. I mean, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So for the fact that the Steelers are 8.5 wins, I feel like over on that is probably free money. But I
agree.
But I don't love the quarterback situation there either. But then again, like the Steelers have made a habit of winning, a whole bunch of games in the past with, the Kenny Pickett's of the world and Mason Rudolph and these guys at quarterback. So, are they going to be able to do that? Like, I don't know how long they're going to stick with pre-washed Russell Wilson at quarterback, but I kind of hope they turn to Justin Fields a little sooner rather than later, just because I feel like he's at least, there's a little bit of fun with the unknown there and gambling on the upside. So I kind of want to see what happens there.
You kind of led me to it because I was going to say, because Tomlin has never been under 500, they're at 8.5. The overs plus money, and if Russell Wilson is going to have any sort of revival of his career, and I'm not saying back to like Super Bowl form Russ, I'm talking like an every week starter Russ. It would be in a system like Mike Tomlin's where he kind of fosters veterans in that regard. So, that's very tempting. If I'm going to pick any of these, that's the one that probably jumps out at me is Steelers over 8.5 wins. Like you said, Cleveland, I can't touch them. There's just too many variables there. I have no idea what they are. They're an 8-9 team. Are they a 9-8 team? Are they better than that? I have no idea. Looking at the Ravens and the Bengals, I mean, on both of them, I think over 10.5 wins is safe, but I mean, that's, minus 120 or minus 122. To win the division, if you have a strong feeling about one or the other, I mean, go with it. But yeah, to me, the one that makes the most sense for me is probably Steeler. I think the Bengals bounce back. So if I had to pick one of those two to win the division, I would take the Bengals at plus 165 and the Steelers 8.5 wins over plus 116.
I like that. I like that play a lot.
Yeah, those are two solid plays there. Hopefully, I hope maybe we make you some money, maybe we don't. Maybe we're totally wrong here and we look like fools, but we still got two more divisions to go next week. We're going to do the Wests, AFC and NFC. Chiefs probably going to run away with that AFC West. We'll see what happens in the NFC West, probably a Niners division championship. And like Jared said earlier, the Seahawks and the Rams probably in the mix for a wild card spot. So, I think we covered the divisions pretty well here, and it's time to get pack ripping. What do you say? Well, you want me to kick things off here with a jumbo pack of Upper Deck 2007?
Sure, why not? Let's do the jumbo pack. Let's go.
We had a jumbo pack last week too, which was pretty good. All right, so the bottom one ripped as well, but we'll open that one up in a second. All right, so we're going to get the West Coast rip cam going here. The old keychain, now my marker. Where you start off with, remember Dallas Baker, rookie fantasy team.
Can't say that I do.
No, neither can I. Let's go here. So that's the rookie fantasy insert there. Joseph Adai, much more memorable player there.
Yeah, Joseph Adai, pretty good running back there for the Colts for a few years.
Now let's talk about the Colts for a minute. Are you on the fence? Are you on the side where the Colts and Anthony Richardson are challenging for a playoff spot with a good defense there too, or the Colts still like a year away?
I don't think the roster in Indy is as good as the prognosticators seem to think that it is. I do like Anthony Richardson as a prospect. We just didn't see enough of him last year with the season-ending shoulder injury, but I need to see a lot more with this Colts roster. Like, I still have them clearly behind the Texans in the division, and I would probably put them behind the Jaguars as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Jacksonville, I think, can still bounce back. I think they're going to have a better year than they did last year. Hopefully, Trevor Lawrence puts it together for purposes of one of my dynasty league teams. So
I also think you're only getting one playoff team out of that division, most likely, would be my guess, and you're going to have to win the division to get that playoff spot, and I don't see the Colts doing it. I mean, maybe they do. I mean, I'm not rooting against them. I just don't see it.
I'm going to say this first half of the jumbo pack is pretty solid. Let's go through some of these here. We got a Carson Palmer card here. Poor guy's about to get blasted after letting the pass go, but nonetheless, going to make the play there.
Yeah, really good quarterback in his day. I mean, it's interesting. He went number 1 overall. He obviously had the major knee injury early in his career, but he bounced back from it. I don't think he ever quite lived up to the expectations that might be hoisted upon like a former Heisman winner, a former number 1 overall pick. But I mean, he played in the league for 15 years, so and he had a really, really solid career. So I would say overall, Carson Palmer, success story at the NFL level.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even his tenure in Cincy, he had the knee injuries, and then in Arizona, he played well too. He had a good couple of years with the Raiders. He was solid everywhere he went. Like you said, maybe he didn't live up to the pedigree of a first overall guy, but definitely a long-term quarterback in the league. Speaking of long-term quarterbacks, got 2 more coming up here. First one, John Kitna, who bounced around but was a solid guy wherever he got the chance. And then we got Tony Romo here. I'll have another season of him on CBS with Jim Nantz.
Yeah, very nice. I don't suppose that would be a Tony Romo rookie card, but I don't remember.
Third year.
That's right, because he was the backup for a few years before he even got into the lineup. And I remember when he got into the lineup that first time when they benched Drew Bledsoe on that. It was either a Sunday night or a Monday night game against the Giants, and then Romo came in, and I don't think Romo necessarily played all that great in that game, but you could kind of see like why they made the change there. And
team responded.
And obviously the Cowboys had I would say successful years under Romo. I mean, obviously they never got to the Super Bowl or made a deep championship run like that. But yeah, it's hard to argue that Tony Romo wasn't a success as a Cowboys starting quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, listen, you look back at what he did there. Again, didn't get to the Super Bowl, but nonetheless had them in the mix every year. It's a good fantasy quarterback too. Speaking of, now we can talk about recent Hall of Famers here. How about Devin Hester, one of the great return men in history?
Yeah, he's the GOAT in terms of kick returners. I don't know. I felt weird about Devin Hester getting to the Hall of Fame. It was like, really? Like, we're putting Devin Hester in the Hall of Fame? But like, he is the greatest all time in that position. So like, if you're one that thinks, the specialists are football players too, and you're one that thinks like, all right, Adam Vinatieri should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's the greatest kicker of all time. And like Ray Guy's in the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Fame punter. He's already the greatest punter of all time. So if you're going to put like the greatest kicker and the greatest punter in the Hall of Fame, then why wouldn't you put the greatest kick returner in the Hall of Fame? So
I'm not saying, I don't think we need like 10 to 12 kick returners in the Hall of Fame. I think it should be a very select few. Like, like, I don't know if we're going to start letting like Dante Hall in, but like Devin Hester.
Literally the name I was thinking of. Yeah.
But like Devin Hester, he was legitimately like, I can't remember another guy that like in the last, like since him, that was like, okay, if you kick the ball to him, that's a pretty ballsy decision. I know you can't kick the ball out of bounds on a kickoff, but you got to figure out something to kick around. Don't give him that lane.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he certainly paved the way for, the guys that kind of came after him, like the Joshua Cribbses of the world and guys like that. So
let's move on. Now, this is a little piece of our career history here. My first weekly on Sirius NFL Radio, Carlos Dansby.
Yeah, Carlos Yancey, pretty good linebacker in his day.
He was he was solid. He hung around the league for a long time. I mean, like, I don't even know if he ever made a Pro Bowl. Maybe he got one as like a replacement, but I mean, the guy was a starting caliber linebacker in the league for almost a decade. Anquan Bolden here. We go from one Cardinal to another, doing what that's a perfect Anquan Bolden shot. Just making a tough catch with Pac-Man Jones right in his face and still somehow coming away with it.
Yep, that is I like the aesthetic of these cards too.
Like the little white border on the sides with the team name and the position. It's done very well.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. It's got a couple other receivers here. We got Bobby Engram with the old Seahawk look there. Then we got Michael Lewis, who I believe was also a return specialist for the Saints there. Let's go back to a Giant era that is probably one of your favorite. Let's start off with Amani Toomer making a tough catch there.
That is a really interesting shot that they used for that picture. But yeah, Amani Toomer, one of the more underrated receivers of his day. Certainly was on he was on the Giants for a long time. He was on the Giants. I mean, he must have debuted in like 97, 98 or whatnot, and he stuck around through that first Super Bowl. So it gives you an idea of the type of longevity that he had. And like, he was a really, he was never a top 10 receiver in the league, maybe never even like top 20, but like he's one of the great Giants receivers of all time. And he's a guy who was there for well over a decade. So
made his debut in 96. Made his debut in 96, played through 08. He had 5 1,000-yard seasons. Is he number retire worthy as a Giant? Should his number be retired, 81?
I'm not a big number retirement guy in football in general. And the Giants have a lot of retired numbers already, just because they retired a lot of like the old time players. So like, I know they retired, I think they retired Eli, and I think they retired Strahan, which makes sense. Like, Strahan's in the Hall of Fame and Eli's going to be first ballot next year. So, which is going to piss a lot of people off, but it's going to make me particularly joyful when that happens. No, I probably wouldn't retire Amani Toomer, but like, Amani Toomer is like your classic, like, NFL Ring of Honor guy.
Got it.
And the Giants have a Ring of Honor, and I'm pretty sure Amani Toomer's probably in it. So,
and if he's not, he should be. All right, we got another Giant here. Now, he had a long career with the Giants. This one was more of a shorter but burn bright kind of guy, Jeremy Shockey.
Jeremy Shockey was one of my favorite players when he first broke into the league. I mean, he had a really solid rookie season. I guess he was like the Pepsi Rookie of the Year or something. Not like the AP Rookie of the Year, but yeah, he was really solid. And then like the first couple years, he was. I feel like a lot of people said he was overrated just because he didn't really catch a lot of touchdown passes, and then like he sort of built upon that. I mean. So, pretty good player. I mean, some of the antics like on the field, like like I'll never forget the wild card playoff loss against the 49ers when he had a chance to catch that one touchdown to put him up even bigger, and like he's just like staring at his hands, like laughing afterwards. I'm like, you idiot, just catch the damn football.
Yeah, like that. This is not the time for cute little like, oh, you stupid hands. Like, no. This is a playoff game. This ain't week 2 in Philly. So
right,
yeah,
and by the way, 2-time Super Bowl champion because he was on the Saints team that also won.
So 2002, his rookie year, 894 receiving yards, only 2 touchdowns, like he said. But I mean, 74 catches on 128 targets as a rookie, pretty damn good.
And like for the Giants moving forward, like they needed to get like some, as like Eli, as it was becoming Eli's team, they had to get some of that old guard out there. And like Shockey was one of those guys they just had to kind of move on from when it was the time to do so. Like him and, eventually like Plaxico when he shot himself, and Tiki Barber when he retired. And he was very vocal about the whole situation there. So,
yeah, like changing the guard, like you said.
Yeah, certainly a changing of guard. And you could see that with like the 2011 Giants Super Bowl team was like a whole different cast of supporting characters with like the Hakeem Nicks and Victor Cruz and Brandon Jacobs and all those guys. Ahmad Bradshaw. Yeah. Well, Bradshaw was on both teams, but you know what I'm saying.
Love that Earth, Wind, and Fire backfield. That was a good one. Speaking of backfields, how about Carnell Cadillac Williams? They're not made necessarily pan out the way they expected, but was highly touted coming out of Auburn there.
Out of Auburn, yeah, and fantastic nickname as well.
Yeah, if I want a name like, I mean, it's too bad they don't put it on the card. But now we'll close strong here. We'll go back to the wide receivers. Torrey Holt laying out to make a first down there. It looks like in Green Bay.
Very nice. Torrey Holt's still not in the Football Hall of Fame, right?
Is it time to play? Are they Hall of Fame or Hall of Very Good? I think it might be.
No, I mean, I feel like he should be Hall of Fame, but like the problem with the Hall of Fame with the receivers, and it's something we've talked about before in the show, is there's such a backlog. It takes these guys like forever to get in. Like it took Tim Brown like 5 years to get in, which was insane when you looked at like Tim Brown's numbers when he retired. And then like the whole T.O. situation was a whole other thing because they deliberately kept him out for the first couple of years, and he made a whole stink about it when he finally got in. It's like, well, I'm not going. I'll do my acceptance speech at Tennessee Chattanooga. So,
yeah, I mean, he's the Hall of Fame All 2000s team. Torrey Holt. He had he led the league in receiving yards twice. With 1635 and 1696 respectively, and had 9 seasons of over 1,188 yards receiving.
He's been eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame for 10 years in a row. He's made it to the semifinalist stage every year and has been a finalist 5 years in a row, and he still hasn't gotten in yet. So, like, I don't know. Hopefully for Torrey, he'll get in the next couple of years, but like, it's keep filibuster for a second. I want to pull up the football eligibles. For next year.
So Torrey Holt, actually, small connection to him. One of my high school football coaches, my sophomore year, played with Torrey Holt at NC State. So that was I always kept anytime you have like a loose connection to somebody like that, you always keep a closer eye on them. And I mean, again, Holt was just like you said, just all those plus 1,180 yards. Oh, he was just top receiver in the league every year. Part of that greatest show on turf, along with Isaac Bruce. Just a really strong career there.
All right. Would you like to hear the first time eligibles for next year?
Yes.
All right. So we have Eli Manning, who, people are going to debate that, but like to me, there's no debate. Like when you win 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots, and you're the Super Bowl MVP for both games, you're a first ballot Hall of Famer. So,
and the fashion that he had to get there, it was the game in Green Bay. There was, obviously beating the undefeated Patriots. I mean, he's the anomaly, but he's still a first ballot.
Right. And like, to me, the most memorable Eli Manning game of that entire run isn't even those games. It's the NFC Championship game in San Francisco when he just took an absolute pounding in a rainstorm.
That's
and
right.
Just kept coming back, and he just made the plays when they need to be made. All right, so you have him. Luke Kuechly, pretty short career, but he was one of the best linebackers in the league when he played. Like, he's a guy who probably should be in. Marshall Yanda, longtime Raven, Pro Bowl offensive lineman.
Great lineman.
Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, huge part of the Seahawks championship team. They should have a second Super Bowl championship if they just give him the damn ball on the 1 yard line, but that's neither here nor there. Terrell Suggs, one of the best pass rushers of his era.
T-Sizzle.
Darren Sproles, we've been talking about returners and whatnot. One of the best little men in NFL history, and one of the best returners in NFL history. Joe Staley, longtime offensive lineman. Aqib Talib, longtime cornerback. The late great Demaryius Thomas, Clay Matthews, and Ryan Khalil.
So there's a couple of names on that list that I'm like, all right, maybe not. But the rest of there's a lot of names on that list where it's like, yeah, they got to get in. But like you said, you can only get so many in per year.
Yeah. So I'm going to guess they put in Eli and Kuechly the first year out of that group.
You said Kuechly had a short career. It was 8 seasons, but he was all pro 5 of them. So.
Right. And I think the precedent is kind of there with like Patrick Willis getting in, and a similar situation where, yeah, short career, but he was excellent like every year in his entire career. And like the only thing that really slowed down Kuechly was the concussions. Like other than that, like he was, arguably the best player of his era. So I think you're going to get those guys. And then like, I don't know how Antonio Gates didn't get in last year, but like we're talking about one of the great tight ends in NFL history. It seems silly that he wasn't a first year, first ballot Hall of Famer. I think you probably get him. You probably get, maybe someone like Jared Allen, who's been on the ballot for a few years, great pass rusher. And I don't know, maybe this will be the year for someone like Torrey Holt, who's been waiting for a while.
Maybe this is the two more cards we'll go before we get to the second half of the jumbo pack here. Talking about a guy who probably had to deal with Torrey Holt on numerous occasions, Nnamdi Asomugha, one of the better shutdown corners of his era. And then we close the first half of the jumbo pack with the late, great Sean Taylor.
Yeah, nice to see the Commanders righting a wrong by commissioning an actual statue for him instead of whatever that was a couple of years ago, which was just an embarrassment.
It looks like they went to the local Ross, got a mannequin, and then just slapped a helmet and a jersey on there. That's what it looked like. And not even like a full built mannequin, like the wire like base that you build the mannequin on. Like it was pathetic.
If you wanted a perfect, if you just wanted a picture to sum up what a shit show the Daniel Snyder era of the Washington Redskins / football team / Commanders era was, how they handled the Sean Taylor statue that time. And just the complete disaster that it was perfectly encapsulates it. So I'm not a Commanders fan, but I'm glad for them that they actually have competent ownership now who's going to do things the right way. So I'm happy for Sean Taylor and his family that they're going to get an actual statue now, and his legacy will be remembered properly.
Yes, for sure. I mean, and what was annoying about that whole era was just a total cluster F, but that's something that's easy to get right. A memorial statue for that's a beloved player, like that's an easy.
You would think it's easy. Apparently not.
Apparently not. So let's start off the second half with looks like we have to go here and see if we enter some contest to win. We got Marion Barber the third, short but sweet career. We spoke about the Texans earlier. Everything coming full circle for D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah, first the standout linebacker for them, and now one of the better young head coaches in the NFL.
This is another strong pack here. We'll move, but I mean it's a good one. Julius Peppers there, all-time great
Hall of Fame. So shout out to him.
49ers GM John Lynch. There's pictured as the Broncos free safety. Who else we got? Matt Leinart, who's I believe he's still doing games as an analyst, isn't he? Somewhere.
Yeah, he's still involved with the college, with the Fox college football side of it. So I think he does whatever their equivalent of the college game day is.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
So it's like him and Urban Meyer and Reggie Bush and somebody else probably.
Urban Meyer should stay in the booth where he's at least safer than, out there and, ruining football teams. Let's see here. We got Eddie Kennison from the Chiefs. Now, we talked about Hall of Fame guys. This guy had 2 Hall of Fame careers with 2 different teams. Mr. Charles Woodson, pictured as a Packer there, but also his Raiders tenure, also Hall of Fame worthy.
He certainly did. I guess the only thing with the Packers is, was he in Green Bay long enough where that itself is a Hall of Fame caliber career? But the collective body of work is just a no-brainer. So
he was in Green Bay.
Has he been out of the league long enough where he's already in the Hall of Fame?
So he is in the Hall of Fame, and he was in Green Bay, believe it or not, for 7 seasons.
He's there longer than you think. Yeah, he was there. I didn't think he was there that long. So
let's see.
Yeah.
7 seasons in Green Bay. I mean, all-time great Michigan player, too. His starting lineup is on my display somewhere.
And by the way, his playing career from 1998 to 2015 for a cornerback and a safety, which is just insane. Like the longevity that you have to play at that position. I mean, you have to be able to run. You still have to be in excellent physical condition to play. And he's a guy who played at a high level, like throughout basically his entire career. Maybe not the last year in Oakland, but for the most part, like he was an excellent player, like throughout his entire career.
This is the other thing that jumps out at me. 18 seasons, and it's not uncommon for cornerbacks as they get a little older and slower. They move to play safety, and they could still be effective there. I believe Rod Woodson did the same thing in his career, going Woodson to Woodson. Charles Woodson didn't have to move to safety until year 15. So for 14 years, he was a shutdown corner. That is unbelievable.
And by the way, I had that wrong. His final year as a player, second team All Pro. So
Yeah, really mailing it in that final season, huh? Let's see here. We got Lendale White, the opposite of a little man, but a big bruiser back there. A short and sweet career with the Titans. Part of that USC team with Leinart.
In terms of being a fantasy player, I used to hate Lendale White because I was a Chris Johnson guy before Chris Johnson was a thing. And Lendale White was the ultimate touchdown vulture, and I hated Lendale White, and I hated that stupid little dance he would do every time he stole a touchdown from Chris Johnson.
The dance was definitely stupid. Let's see here. We got Brandon Lloyd, who was a good, number 3 receiver on a few different teams in his career, pictured there with Washington.
I want to say it was with the Broncos and 49ers as well, if I'm remembering right.
Definitely. I'm for sure with the 49ers, almost positive with Denver. We got the burner, Michael Turner. Remember him?
I certainly do. That was one of the all-time great fantasy pickups by me. Picking him up in a keeper league his final year in San Diego, and then knowing he was going to get a starting job somewhere in the league the following year when he signed that big free agent deal in Atlanta. So getting a starting caliber running back for a dirt cheap price, one of the all-time great fantasy moves. But that was before people got really savvy with fantasy.
Yeah,
that was back in 2004, 2005.
That's when guys like us could still jump leagues because we had a little bit of an edge before it became common. Coming up here, we got Dante Stallworth showing poor camera etiquette there. We don't want to shove the ball into the lens of the camera. That's not good for the camera.
No, we don't.
And then let's see here, just a few more cards to go. We got Sean Merriman doing his infamous and in the midst of his lights out dance after sacks. I mean, we talk about steroid baseball players, steroid football player, but hey, whatever. He was short but dominant too. Let's see here. We got Rodney Harrison. Their picture with the Patriots, one of the better safeties of his era. Rookie fantasy insert in this pack. The aforementioned Chris Henry.
Yeah, and I believe, unfortunately, the late great Chris Henry, if I'm remembering right. So,
correct. And then we go to Frank Gore, pictured with the Niners there. Speaking of long careers, like Charles Woodson before.
Nothing makes you feel older than seeing Frank Gore Jr. in the preseason. Yes.
I mean, there wasn't that many years since Frank Gore retired, to be fair, but there wasn't really that long of a gap between father and son's careers.
And I have no recollection of Frank Gore with the Jets, by the way. I know that was the pandemic year, and that was there was a lot of stuff going on that year. You could understand why Frank Gore being on the Jets might have slipped between the cracks, but
I remember.
I have zero recollection of that.
And then we closed the pack. We talked about the Steelers quarterback situation earlier, how they long for the days of that man, Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, he's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer when he's up for eligibility in a couple of years, and rightfully so.
All right, him, Phillip Rivers, and Eli Manning will always be tied together as that quarterback class from 2004.
And I guess who's the last one standing out of that class? I guess it was him, right? Because I think Rivers retired the year before.
Yeah, he was the last. I mean, that last season was a little bumpy, but yeah, he was the last man standing. There we go. There's that jumbo pack of 2007 Upper Deck there. Some decent candidates for poll of the day, but nothing that I'm convinced it will win. We still got some packs to go here. Jared's going to continue the football and bring us up to today with some 2023 Bowman U.
Yeah, let's do some college football cards. Figure we do it. Why not? With the season really getting underway this weekend, but plus I love the look of these cards. And if you don't mind pulling up the East Coast camp for me, that would be much appreciated. I can say right now, we are going to be very disappointed with these packs because and you'll see why in a second. But just taking a look at some of the guys here. Joseph Griffin, wide receiver out of BC.
I mean, I like the look of a BC jersey with the gold and the burgundy, but not off to a great start.
The design of these cards are great, but the players that we pulled in these packs are not exactly anything to write home about. Wide receiver from Colorado State, Tony Horton.
Nice looking jersey, nice looking card there for sure.
Right. Penn State defensive lineman Danny Dennis Sutton.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be nice to we're deep dynasty players, both of us, even on the defensive side. It'd be nice to get some names we kind of recognize.
Well, you should recognize this name, quarterback from Duke, Riley Leonard.
All right, there we go. Okay, now we're starting to head in the right direction.
So that'll be an interesting one when he finally declares eligibility for the NFL draft. So at least we have that one. But Yeah, and unfortunately, it's only 4 cards per pack, so we're gonna go through these really quickly, and hopefully, this other pack is better. And I can tell you right now, from the last card, not off to a promising start, but we'll start with that one first, just because why not? Cameron Ward, wide receiver from Washington State, and then the pack 2.
I believe, yeah, he was a guy that was in some mock drafts, but didn't really see a whole lot of him after that. But yeah, I had a good career with the Cougars.
Let's see. Bo Collins from wide receiver from Clemson.
Okay, nice looking Clemson card there.
One of the more interesting players in college football, Travis Hunter, wide receiver, Colorado.
Okay.
Just because, it's Colorado, it's Dion. Just the fact that they're who they are is interesting. And I love the design of this card, this last one. Wide receiver from Oregon, Jerian Dickey.
It's a cool looking card. Definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know why Oregon's got red in their jersey, but hey, that's Oregon for you.
Yeah, that's Oregon for you. They certainly do a lot of stuff like that. So, if you were hoping for Caleb Williams or Bo Nix or any of the top receivers from the last couple of years in the NFL draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors, if you were hoping for any of those guys in these 2 packs, I think you were sorely disappointed, my friend.
Let's hope the Leaf baseball turns things around here, because right now for poll of the day, I've got 3 base cards in the mix, and none of these should win. So let's hope we get something out of this Leaf baseball here.
We are off to a very rough start, but we can take a look at the puzzle piece real quick. We actually pulled one of those, so
that's a cool one.
Yeah, Diamond King. Let's look at the back of this one. Yeah,
so that's what the ultimate puzzle is going to look like on the back, and I like that it's got like that shiny kind of goldish look to it.
Yeah, so we got the puzzle pieces, which is nice, and I mean the cards, it's about the same thickness as a regular card, so that's always cool.
All right, so we got the puzzle piece. Let's see what else we got.
Well, we start with one of my favorite Yankees of all time, and one of yours as well, Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly. That's, I mean, that's where we start. That's probably going to be our poll of the day as well. But we got some pretty good names here with some of these players that we have in this pack. Mitch Williams,
Wild Thing.
Let's see, Kevin Brown. No, not that Kevin Brown. This Kevin Brown.
Okay,
Milwaukee Brewers. Eric Bullock, pinch hitter with the Expos. This is back in the day when pinch hitters would get a card.
And they were actually a position. It wasn't just you're a bench second baseman or a utility infielder. You're a pinch hitter.
I joked about that Mike Timlin rookie card. Well, we got a Mike Timlin rookie card. So
all right. Yeah, you got 2 candidates for poll of the day. Oh, 2.
Let's see. Greg Jeffries, second baseman with the Mets. Bob Scanlon. So some pretty interesting names here. Excuse me. Ron Karkovice, catcher with the White Sox. Steve Avery.
He was the number 4 pitcher in that Braves rotation behind Smoltz, Maddox, and Glavine.
Jose Uribe with the Giants.
Good infielder for a long time.
Alvin Davis. It's funny, he's a designated hitter card, but here he is in the field, likely playing first base there.
Yeah, it looks like it.
David Rohde, infielder with the Astros. Willie Randolph, here a picture with the Brewers.
Oh, that's a cool card.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool card. You don't really think of Willie Randolph with the Brewers, but he certainly had a long playing career. I mean, he came up with the Pirates in 75, and this is 1991, so you do the math on that one.
And then he went to the Mets the following season. That was his 1 year with the Brewers.
Norm Charlton with the Cincinnati Reds, here laying down a bunt. I love these action shots because it's of players playing positions and doing things that of things that they normally wouldn't do. Usually a pitcher card, it's them like mid wind up or something. No, here's a picture of a pitcher laying down a bunt.
Hey, pitchers are supposed to be. I mean, back when pitchers hit, I mean, it was a useful tool for them to bunt. You know, you wouldn't always have to sacrifice them in that situation. He's a pinch hitter, I should say.
And last but not least, Bruce Hurst with the San Diego Padres.
All right. So Donnie Baseball, Mike Timlin rookie, Mitch Wild thing, Williams, and then you got the puzzle piece there. Definitely in the mix for pull of the day. Let's take another look at that Donnie Baseball as he has that as his candidate. We got one more quick pack to go here. Gonna do some. Gonna do some Pearl Jam cards here. We're looking for the Eddie Vedder. This is the Chicago 2018. Remember, they did a set for Boston, Chicago, and Seattle on that tour. Got no Vedders last pack. Let's see what we get this pack for Chicago. All right, we start off with their organist, B3 player, Boom Gasper, touring musician. Let's get that. Where's that pack? I have it on the screen because it's a pretty wrap pack there. Then we have Mike McCready, pictured as a Chicago Cub. I'm surprised that's not with Eddie because Eddie's is the Cubs fan and Mike is more of the Mariner fan. Another picture of Boom there. Another picture of Boom there. We got Jeff Ament, or Jeff Ament, as Eddie says live, the bassist. And yes, we finally got an Eddie Vedder card. Finally got one. This is going in a display at some point. So for part of what I'm doing. So we got him singing something there. Let's see here.
You said this is from Chicago?
Yes.
So what's the 21 in reference to?
I don't know. I mean, that just might be a shirt. He does wear a throwback Walter Payton jersey a lot, that he, like especially on the last couple of tours. He does have that. He is a Bears, Cubs, and he's friends with Chris Chelios, Blackhawks fan, Bulls fan. He's friends with Dennis Rodman, huge Pearl Jam fan. Like he's
right, because I see the 21 and I think like Roberto Clemente, and I'm trying to think, wait, what's the tie with like Roberto Clemente and Eddie Vedder that I'm not putting two and two together on this one?
I don't know. I mean, it could be. I think that's just a plain black shirt with 21. We got Stone Gossard there, so it looks like we're going to get every member of the band except for Matt Cameron in this one, but I got him in the Seattle pack. We've got Eddie pictured in a Chicago Cubs uniform there, taking a cut. And two more cards to go here. We got Stone Gossard again there, a little black and white photo. And then finally, we got Mike McCready, looking like he's having a blast, like he always does. One of my favorite guitar players of all time. And we wrap it up with we got a Seattle sticker here in this pack. So there we go. So no Chicago sticker. Still got a Boston pack to open. Maybe we'll do it another time. Not going to do it today, but all I wanted to come away from today was an Eddie Vedder card, and I did. So I'm very happy about that.
Yes, and the number 21 does have significance in Cubs history. You want to take a guess who wore that number? A lot of players wore that number, but there's one very famous Cub that wore that number.
It's not Ernie Banks, is it?
No.
No. Then I don't know. I'm not big on Cubs history.
So that was Sammy Sosa's number.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Mr.
Yes.
Sosa.
So that might be a shout out to one of the great sluggers of our era. So, you know me, man. I don't give two shits about PEDs. So, if it's good enough for Eddie Vedder, it's good enough for me. So shout out to Eddie.
There we go. If it's good enough for Eddie Vedder, it's good enough for me. That's a bumper sticker somewhere. So it's time for poll of the day here. My candidates are going to be, let's see here. I guess we'll go with these two. We'll go with these three. And I'm not going to win, so it doesn't matter. But my candidates would be the Ben Roethlisberger base card, the Torrey Holt base card, or the Eddie Vedder card that I was chasing and finally found. But it looks like I think Jared's going to take it here with Donnie Baseball card.
Yep. Here's some other famous number 21s in Cubs history. Jason Markey, Milton Bradley, Scott Hairston, Tommy Hunter, Junior Lake, Tyler Chatwood, Tony Kemp, Steven Souza Jr. So make of that information what you will, my friend.
I will sleep a little bit better tonight, having my knowledge of 21s of Chicago Cubs history now fortified. So thank you.
They should have retired 21 for Sosa. Bad job, Cubs.
That might be one of those things they wait till he's like an old man to do it, you know?
Yeah, wait till like 30 years from now when nobody gives a shit about steroids anymore.
Exactly. When that's like, I wonder in our lifetime if we'll see what happened to like the JFK assassination, because like all the generation that mattered to, like once they clear out, will we get to know since we were, I don't know. It's one of those things I feel like.
Perhaps.
Now, I believe it's time for the starting lineup, figure 5. We're going to go with baseball today. Jared, you have 5 guesses as usual. Let's get the proper backup. background on the screen there. And as usual, you get the sport and nothing else. And with that, what'd you say?
Is it Sammy?
No, it's not Sammy Sosa. But I can't blame you for making that guess out. And I believe I have one in the bin downstairs. So,
and there definitely would be a Sammy Sosa starting lineup figure. So,
there, I have one in the bin downstairs that can potentially come out one day. So,
is this player in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
All right, I got to get him up on the screen quickly here. Get his profile up. No, not in the Hall of Fame.
Not in the Hall of Fame. Did this player have links to performance-enhancing drugs during his playing career?
You betcha.
Oh, baby. All right. Let's see. Did this player... This is going to be a very specific question, but you'll see where I'm going with it in a second. Did this player happen to testify in front of Congress once upon a time and wave his finger and say, I never used performance-enhancing drugs?
No, it is not that player.
All right, so it's not Rafael Palmeiro. Okay. Let's try to narrow this down a little bit better than what I just did there. Two questions left. Is this player a World Series champion?
Two-time World Series champion.
Two-time World Series champion. Not in the Hall of Fame for very obvious reasons. Did this player play for the New York Yankees?
For one season, not even a full season, but yes, he spent part of his career with the Yankees, 37 games to be exact.
Oh, wow. All right, so that's interesting. I think I know who it is, though. I was leaning toward Roger Clemens with how the previous questions were set up, because that would have fit for the first one, but obviously it's not him. Only 37 games. Is it Jose Canseco?
Wow, there you go. Look at that. I mean, once you got the steroid stuff, it pretty much narrows it down to like a pool of 10 players, but you could go in a lot of directions. And there he is, featured in the green Oakland Athletics batting practice jersey. Good job. Congratulations.
Yeah, Jose Canseco very famously came over to the Yankees at the 2000 trade deadline, and when they really had no use for him. And I guess he was technically part of that World Championship team. Did he win an were you counting that as one of the two championships? Because I thought he won two with the A's, or maybe just won one with the A's, and you counted that one at 2000 Yankees as well.
So they have him listed on Baseball Reference as a two-time World Series champion. The A's only won once. They beat the Giants and then lost to the Reds when they went back-to-back that next year. So, yeah, that other World Series ring would have to come.
I thought the A's had won another one, so I guess they only won the one.
Yeah, they beat the Earthquake-based Bay Bridge series. They swept the Giants, and then the Reds turned around and swept them the following year. So
that's right. And you know, you could say a lot of things about Jose Canseco. Everyone that he named in that book turned out to be right. He wasn't lying about any of them, at least in terms of links to performance enhancing drugs.
I mean, those guys it's a small fraternity at that point. You know, people know who's doing what. You know, it's just like office gossip. You know what's going on in the office. I mean, it's to a different scale, but yeah, there we go. I mean, look, first of all, we got the card matching the pose. One of my favorites. You know, it's a little bit earlier in the swing in the card, but there's Jose Canseco with the Oakland on it. Not going to see too much more of that after this year as they go to Sacramento for a couple of years. I'm curious to know what the branding is going to be when they go. Are they the Sacramento A's, or what are we going to be for the next 2-3 seasons?
They'll probably just be the A's, would be my guess.
You want to be the California A's?
No, they'll probably literally just be the A's or something. I don't know. Maybe they'll call them the Oakland A's while they play in Sacramento. I don't know.
The Oakland A's of Sacramento, or the Sacramento A's of Oakland. And there's the back, the 33, the Canseco. Good job there. It's a 98 edition of Canseco, so the quality on the lineups and the detail. This one actually kind of looks like him a little bit, but it looks like him. Yes, he's going to join our starting lineup studio audience, which last week, Jared, he's on a streak right now because he got Dan Marino last week, and he's the guy that leads off the starting lineup studio audience. We're going to do a salute to the number 13 today. Some consider it unlucky. Was not unlucky for these guys. We got Don Maynard from the 98 Classic Doubles. Jets history there. That one came with the Joe Namath. The 97 Wilt Chamberlain Classic Doubles. I forget which one that came with. I want to say it was a Bill Russell. We got Mark Jackson, St. John's legend there, 1997 starting lineup. Matt Sundin in the back, 1996. The stick broke out of his hand, so I had to shove it in his armpit there. So that's why that looks a little off if you have a keen eye. Yeah, so there you go. Those are the salute to the number 13 of the starting lineups I have. And I guess Jose Canseco is going to be joining them next week. We'll have to figure out what the theme is. If I got enough steroid juicers, you better believe that's what's going to be the theme. So
why not? We should celebrate these kings of our sport.
They are kings. Listen, you say what you want, but they're kings. They entertained us during our childhood. They made baseball. When was the last time you liked baseball that much?
Yeah, baseball and there's two professions I want on performance enhancing drugs: baseball and pro wrestling. And coincidentally, they both peaked in the mid to late 90s.
Complete coincidence. There's no correlation at all there. None whatsoever.
No, none at all.
Now, don't forget, you could catch us here on YouTube, on Twitter, and Facebook at RipNRiff. Lots of great content on all three, so check us out there. Jared is busy gathering content for his YouTube poker channel at Jared More Poker, so be sure to give that a shout, a follow, and a like. And we also got Total Hockey Now, which will be came out this week. We're going to be coming out tomorrow, actually. We'll be live on Thursday. And that's going to be our new day moving forward. It's Thursday afternoon, so please be sure to check that out on YouTube, Twitter/X, and Facebook. But I believe that's going to do it for this edition of Rip and Riff here on the Rip and Riff YouTube channel. Don't forget, follow on Twitter at Mr. Jared Moore there. I'm at Pucking Thoughts. Next week, we're going to be on the eve of the NFL season. We'll be doing a lot of football next week as well, like we did today, so make sure you tune in for that. But for Jared, I'm Adam. We'll be back with you next week on an all-new episode of RipNRiff.